Good afternoon, and on behalf of Konica Minolta Mobile Industrial Robots, or MIA, and all of our resellers and partners, thank you for joining us. My name's Martin Keatles, and I'm the Head of Emerging Technologies at Konica Minolta. Today's webinar focuses on how organisations can derive value from the use of data in their warehousing and manufacturing operations. One way to generate and analyse this data is through the use of autonomous mobile robots, or AMRs as we call them. Konica Minolta has recently invested in AMRs through our relationship with MIA, the preeminent manufacturer of AMRs in the market today. In fact, we've recently built S-Connect, a Konica Minolta proprietary data analytics software as a service. This software has been developed by our Business Innovation Centre in Asia Pacific. The team, led by Jimmy Wong, creates proprietary software solutions that create value for our robotics customers. It's this type of platform that we're concentrating on today. There'll be time for questions at the end, so please use the Q&A button if you have any. Slide. Today's agenda focuses on industry trends, both global and domestic, and we also look at how, in the real world, we can drive data insights with data. We'll examine the software landscape, and finally, we'll finish up with a case study on S-Connect. Slide. Before we do that, I'd like to introduce Elizabeth Gill, a new starter at Konica Minolta, who's focusing on the robot portfolio.
Thanks, Marty. Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining today's session. We're so excited to have you on this webinar today to discuss how we use Industry 4.0 concepts to improve your supply chain and operational efficiency. Before we get into today's session, I just want to tell you a little bit about me. My name is Elizabeth Gill, and I am a robotics specialist at Konica Minolta. Prior to joining Konica, I spent the majority of my career really helping organizations deploy large-scale transformation across their business, specifically focusing on people, process, technology, and the future of work. Back to you, Marty.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Get you to go to the next slide now. And I want to focus today on why we're here. Industry 4.0 uses transformative technologies to connect the physical world with the digital world. The connection happens through organisation leveraging digital transformation and industrial IoT. In fact, the aim of DX is to create the digitisation of business and enable automated processes to benefit customer experience. The aim of industrial IoT is to enable smart machines and devices to communicate in real time, resulting in higher uptime, better customer results, and better financial efficiencies. In fact, the current 4.0 trends include advanced automation and robotics, machine-to-machine and human-to-machine communication, AI and machine learning, and sensor technology and data analytics. There are four key drivers to this trend. The first is rising data volumes, computational power, and connectivity. The second is emerging analytics and business intelligence capabilities. Thirdly, it's new forms of human-to-machine integration, such as interfaces, augmented and virtual reality systems. And finally, improvements in transferring digital instructions to the physical world, such as robotics and 3D printing, is also driving this trend. We should analyse global and local trends before we proceed, and I'll ask Elizabeth to do that now.
Awesome. Thanks, Marty. So as Marty mentioned, I wanted to just take a step back and really highlight what some of the global and domestic supply chain trends are really happening in 2021. So earlier this year, as you can see from the slide, a great study was published by the Association for Supply Chain Management, really capturing the top 10 supply chain trends we can look out for in 2021. I wanted to briefly highlight the connection of these trends and how organizations are using Industrial 4.0 concepts like IIoT and digital transformation as mechanisms to improve their supply chain productivity. From a global perspective, we all know there's lots happening, COVID, supply chain disruptions, all these things are impacting really how we get our goods to people. Due to COVID, globally, you can see there's been a really big pivot in operations to quickly meet the changing demands of consumers. One of the most visible trends we can really see, and it's an example in our everyday life, is the uptick in e-commerce and the usage of, on-demand deliveries. This is a massive shift in really consumer behaviors and how they're buying. Some other shifts that we're seeing from an industry perspective is really organizations focusing on using their footprint more effectively, and also using innovative technologies to meet consumer demands. For example, probably one of the most interesting things I've seen is companies really using their valuable vacant retail space as actually order fulfillment centers, to really increase and optimize their last mile delivery. What this means is they're better able to understand when and how quickly they can get goods to consumers, with that hub being closer to their buyers. Some other things we've definitely seen, which have piqued my interest, are really companies are moving almost, backward in trend, being closer to their suppliers. So this is something we definitely saw maybe 20, 30 years ago. That decentralized effect really picked up, I think, past the past 10 years. And now we're actually looking to see these suppliers actually migrate really close to the manufacturing hubs. So what that means for companies when they're actually moving closer to their vendors and suppliers is they're actually getting really increased visibility into their distribution centers, but also their transport planning, inventory management, and material procurement. Because of this visibility and real-time tracking, they're really able to increase productivity within their facility, effectively cutting costs that COVID is creating. Really, I guess we can take a step back when we're looking at this. This is all being done to really provide consumers with more flexible options on how they receive goods. So that means, everyone who's buying click and collect, pick up from location or lockers, 1-hour delivery, all those things are really what's driving these change in trends in companies' supply chain. From a domestic perspective, when we look at the local and regional economy in Australia, as you can see, most of these salient trends are mirrored in Australia. However, there are some key differences and pretty much quirks we see in our industry here in Australia. So one of those examples, and I'm sure we've all seen the news, is our Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, really has pledged $1.5 billion over the next 4 years to support modern manufacturing strategies. So that's huge. This is really allowing our companies on the ground to innovate, buy those new machines that will really help optimize their supply chain and be also competitive within the global market. Some of the other things we're actually faced with in Australia is things like geopolitical complexities. We all know the recent rise of trade tensions with China has really been affecting a lot of our exports within Australia, especially around agriculture. Other things we're seeing that Australia is being impacted by is the global shipping container shortage that's being fueled by the US and China. Unfortunately, being such a close counterpart to China, our containers are being consumed and they're being shipped back to China essentially empty. There's other things that we'll always see from a day-to-day. We're always going to have supply chain disruptions in some capacity. And these are really challenges that companies will always need to deal with in this space. To be honest, COVID has really exacerbated this. A lot of these common challenges is really a bright side because it's created opportunity for change and change rapidly. We see every day manufacturers are actually be considering bringing their manufacturing back on shore to ensure there's uninterrupted access to their products. This is the only way this can actually be done effectively in Australia is to automate facilities. Other things, as we all know, the Suez Canal blockage has created a huge issue across the globe, regardless of COVID. A ship slightly bigger than Empire State Building has essentially cut off the entire timber industry from the world. This means we can actually look at, in the next few weeks, things like toilet paper, wood, anything that uses timber as a commodity, the prices are increasing extremely rapidly. Things I see every day, and part of my background is the changing workforce and demographic of workforce. So what we're seeing, and this is even city by city, is people moving from city to regional areas and vice versa. This is having a huge disruption on our skilled workforce, which traditionally we would use in warehouse and logistics spaces. That, coupled with immigration and border closures, has created a heightened demand in Australia for labor. And within labor, that skilled workforce that understands how to do picking, packing, all those sorts of things within the supply chain. Really, due to this lack of resourcing, people are having to look to automation to actually fulfill demand they have. So I think if we just take a step back, all these challenges really provide every company an opportunity to really innovate and create new solutions to better fulfill the demand of their clients. Back to you, Marty.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Now we're going to look at how to drive insights with data. And there's a quote here that we really like that's from the International Federation of Robotics. And I'd like to read it because it talks a little bit about some of the changes that Elizabeth was just discussing. As organisations are engaged in some degree of digital transformation or modernisation, autonomous mobile robots in the warehouse provide a mechanism to capture data about the movement of material and inventory utilisation within a warehouse operation. These devices are connected endpoints performing a task or a series of tasks that support DX and modernisation. In addition, the option of integrating AMR technology with operations level systems such as WMS or WES can support the alignment between the physical execution of tasks and the digital footprint of operations. I'll get you to go to the next slide there, Elizabeth, because AMR data can drive insights into automation performance. And what we find is that all of our clients have the same challenges. And that is that they're finding it difficult to keep pace with changing market demands. In fact, 85% of Australian business leaders admit to this. There are difficulties revolving bottlenecks and failures. There's a lack, or there's always legacy systems and they fail to speak to current systems or future systems. There's low visibility of performance, utilization, errors and ROI, a lack of data really, and fragmented solutions that make things really unworkable. So what we do and what we ask our clients to do is really concentrate on business readiness. And while we lead customers through their journey, we like to adopt a 4-phase approach. We demonstrate how the robot works through a proof of concept. And in that phase, we provide high-level ROI, risk assessments, and material flow diagrams. We then discover the data and co-discover with the customer the data that is happening every single day in their facilities. This includes data gathering and validation through time and motion studies. It's time spent on site with our customers, understanding their physical environment, and making sure that the customer understands it as well. We then spend a phase developing final detailed design, recommendations, and results before we deliver and implement the solution as spec'd with the customer. Finally, and a really important part of our DNA as Konica Minolta is to provide a service, a customer service that is exceptional. This approach that we've created at Konica Minolta has been proven to reduce project risk, and it ensures that Konica Minolta and our customers are aligned in our objectives. I'll now ask Elizabeth to go on and to explain the robotic landscape in a software perspective from now. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Marty. So before we dive into, deep dive into the landscape of what robotic software is and what it looks like, I just want to take you through a really high level understanding of how we actually segment this market. And the reason I'm doing this is because I think it's very important to understand the different applications for the different software types and what you can kind of expect when you're gathering data through these different applications. So just some background, robotic software is used to perform autonomous tasks with your hardware. Many of these software systems and frameworks have been proposed, to make programming really easier for a bunch of people who don't have that expertise. So what we're seeing in the market really is the adoption of low code, no code solutions that really give everyone the ability to use automation really at their fingertips. You don't have to be an expert in this day and age to actually deploy, maintain, or manage things like autonomous mobile robots. With that being said, it's also true in the software landscape as well. You're seeing a big push for things to be low code, no code. To give you an idea of what the software industry looks like, I did want to just hit you with a few robotic software, stats to really set the scene of where this market is going. So in 2018, the robotic software was actually valued at 1.6 billion. And so that doesn't seem like a lot in this day and age when you have companies like Apple, Amazon. But really, in the next 3 years, this market is supposed to grow to 13.5 billion. So that's like a rapid uptick we're seeing. And we're seeing it deployed on the ground. As Marty mentioned, Konica Minolta, we're focused on making these things more consumable for our clients and easy to use so they can service insights and really drive and accelerate optimization throughout their supply chain. One of the coolest things about the software industry for robots growing is that APAC is a manufacturing hub. So we are expected to dominate this market. What we're expecting and what we have seen throughout the years is, by 2025, we're really expecting to see over 4 or 5 million robots and up to 60,000 different warehouses. And that's in a variety of different functions. So that's picking, packing, palletizing, improving intralogistics, cleaning, even operating elevators, stuff like that is where we really see this industry going. And so for us, that's extremely exciting. Now that I've given you an understanding of what the software landscape looks like, I just wanted to drill in quickly to the different applications of these softwares that you can utilize. So to the right, what I've done is I've broken down the different segments of landscape and applications. And I just wanted to quickly take you through some of the different applications. So first off, if you can see, hopefully most of these ring a bell. A lot of them will be familiar and you've probably heard the terminologies in your everyday life. But to break it down in real simple terms, we have things like recognition, communication, software, predictive maintenance, and simulation. So these are all different applications that we're seeing in the market and used on our robots actually today to gather smart data throughout operations. So just to take you through the first application, this is something called recognition software. So we really use recognition software to do things like use OCR to really gather data and process it. We do other things with recognition software, like using laser scanners and vision detectors to really optimize the ability for these robots to work collaboratively within environments, but also read and feedback data to execution and planning systems. Other things, which is a good segue, are things like communication software. So how do we use all the amazing data that our recognition software has gathered? We use communication software to really talk through the different applications and to actually act as a middleware or an API to be able to have real-time data transferred through different systems. One of the things that I really love, not only about our solution, but Konica in general, and something Marty has talked about, is our exceptional service record. So here at Konica Minolta, we pride ourselves as being that trusted advisor and really helping our clients, end to end. Once it's deployed, we like to be there walking the journey with you. One of the ways we do this so effectively is we have a predictive maintenance strategy. So the majority of our technology that we deploy on the ground has some sort of predictive maintenance capability, and that's not limited to just our traditional hardware. It also is seen within our AMRs as well. So the really important thing and why we stress this to our customers so much is having this element of predictive maintenance really does reduce your downtime as it's deployed on your asset continuously and being monitored. This proactive maintenance really does help reduce those critical breakdown times in operations. And these can also be used to support your applications remotely using things like Google Glass and HoloLens to really help a remote support technician, I guess, advise the asset owner on the ground. So really all these couple of components just in of itself are extremely important if you're looking to deploy automation assets like this. But here's where we get to the really, really interesting things. So when you look at something like a simulation software, I'm sure we all know what a simulation is. But when we're looking to invest in new or unproven technology, simulations are some of the best ways to dip your feet in. And how we look at Konica Minolta is we want our clients to really understand what they're investing in from day one. So essentially, we look at this as pre-implementation and also post-implementation when we're using simulation software. We do, like, prior to someone actually investing in a solution, we'd love to do simulations to actually showcase how your operations would look prior and also once something's deployed. This just gives you a flavor and a bit more confidence in really understanding what you're buying into. On the flip side, we can also look at simulation software, which is really driving, rapid, optimization throughout our supply chain business. So post-implementation, when we look at simulation software, those would be things like using control towers or digital twins that can mirror your physical business with a digital asset record. Some of the benefits are doing this is actually optimizing your supply chain without actually interrupting your live production. This will also help increase inventory management optimization. You can understand things like the Suez Canal breakdown of the ship. We now know when I look at my simulation software, I understand there's already a 4-week lead time just based on that one incident. So things like simulation software can have a huge impact in accelerating your business through optimization. So before we move on to our last, our last software application, I just wanted to set the scene as this one will actually be what we're walking through in the case study next. So just from a high level, our data management applications are really what we use to aggregate data throughout your operations and surface the insights on things you're doing today. So these could be things like bottlenecks and corridors. This could be missing transport times and backing into why that actually happened. So I guess we can think about data management as really similar to what our executives use as scorecards. How do we maintain the business and also work towards our digital strategy and meeting those KPIs? It's the same thing we can look at with supply chain. So didn't want to go too much into that one because we'll be looking at it on the next slide. Okay. So as Marty mentioned towards the beginning of the webinar, we wanted to walk you through a live example of how we're actually using software or robotic software in our everyday operations. And as Marty mentioned, this S-Connect is a proprietary software Konica Minolta has built out of our Business Innovation Center in Singapore. And that team really works with us to fill the gaps when we do not have the appropriate technology to actually assist our clients. So really, S-Connect came about when we started deploying robots in our region, and we realized the out-of-the-box software that actually comes on a lot of these applications, while amazing, really has a fit for purpose at a certain scale. So once we are looking at robots past 1, 2, 3, we're going into fleets. We really use the ability to optimize our operational processes unless we bring together more data points. So really, this is how S-Connect was born. To give you some background on S-Connect, it really is a one-stop analytics software that provides users with intelligent, optimized insights for their AMRs. This technology is agnostic. It works across, different providers. And really it can be what I like to say, your control tower of all of your assets deployed on the ground. So what we really love about this is it's completely flexible, agnostic, and it can provide the data at the tip of your fingers with access from anywhere, like your laptop, cell phone, etc. This also lends itself to remote support. So if you have a robotics team within your company, they can actually use this to manage all of your assets across a portfolio. Really, when you drill down to what framework S-Connect sits on top of, it was based on data and performance optimization, and really to help companies meet their ROI expectations. Really, if you buy something, you want to make sure you're getting the most out of it, especially when you're spending this kind of money. So other key features that we actually love about this solution is things like hotspot mapping. This really allows all of our users totally different experience sets to quickly drill in, to pinpoint issues or to action insights. It's super user friendly, as you can see. And especially with hotspot mapping, it's intuitive with its RAG, red, amber, green system. So at a quick glance, you can instantaneously drill into operations and focus on really what needs to be done at that moment. Other things that I mentioned, it's vendor agnostic, so it can work across different providers. The real-time monitoring is so key in this day and age with how much is changing so quickly. So really, if you're buying assets like these, you want to make sure you're able to monitor what's going on in real time and make those decisions quickly. And I guess from, everyday strategic, like I said, you're getting your money's worth out of the applications you're purchasing, but you're also creating that rich data, which is why we're all here. Really, the successful acquisition of assets like this really come down to, okay, what was our original data? What were we looking at? And where are we going? So if you don't have, benchmark table stake things and you're not working towards KPIs, this is a great solution to dip your feet in and also help you kind of move throughout that journey without adding too much complexity or integrations on top of your infrastructure. So with that being said, I will pass it back to Marty.
Great, Elizabeth. So now we're going to have a look at how S-Connect works. And really, this is a framework inspired by OEE metrics, a best practice for measuring manufacturing productivity. And essentially, S-Connect can either be hosted in the cloud or on premise, and can be utilized through an analytics dashboard that's made available with the robot. And this provides real-time performance tracking, trend and operational analysis that puts enough data in the hands of operators that they can make better decisions, making their operations smoother and more profitable. So this wraps up pretty much our presentation today, which brings us to what our audience can look forward to over the next coming months. And really, the EMEA 200 is going on the road. So you can sign up today for your on-site demo. And if you'd like more information about this, please go onto our website and have a look how you can get the EMEA 200 on-site to demonstrate it to your management and to your users. And finally, in May and June 2021, we're going to be launching the EMEA 250 to the Australian market. It's an incredibly exciting launch. It's the newest robot in the EMEA portfolio, and we're looking forward to sharing it with everyone. Elizabeth, thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Welcome to the team. And we hope the webinar has been useful. And if you have any other questions or concerns, please give us a call at Konica Minolta. Thank you and goodbye.
Giving shape to ideas. Konica Minolta.